Hello, Namaskar, welcome to my pod, the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. So yesterday, when the Prime Minister spoke from the ramparts of Red Fort on 15th August and he gave that clarion call for the implementation of the Uniform Civil Code, I immediately knew then that something significant was happening in the BJP strategic thinking. The call actually was really a call for the BJP to go back to its old self, the kind of BJP we have all seen during 2014, to that extent also in 2019. But it was almost like as if the BJP was saying that what was happening post 2019, the new avatar which the BJP had taken, it was in the process of shedding that old skin, shedding that avatar, and it was going back to its old basic core self when the Prime Minister gave the call for the Uniform Civil Code. And if you think that there is a bit of exaggeration in what I am saying, then please try and dovetail with the Prime Minister has said with what Yogi Adityanath has said, not even I think 2 or 3 days back, when he compared the plight of Hindus in Bangladesh to almost like a genocide on similar lines what was happening during the partition riots. He used very forceful and strong language. Both these concerns actually highlight the concerns of the majority Hindu community. The Prime Minister, of course, he is talking of the Uniform Civil Code as a secular code. He used that word secular in his address. But the fact also is that it also means that this is some kind of a justice which has to be given to the majority community. It also means that you bring other minority communities on par with the majority community. And therefore, it was, as I said, it was a going back. It was what I call a ghar, waapsi of the BJP to its age-old core beliefs and values of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, but not in the sense of being some very udar or some very generous person, but in a sense of firmness, in a sense of fair play, and in a sense of that this is what we stand for and this is what we are going to do. It was surely a ghar waapsi of all those age-old beliefs. I'm going to expand on this theme a little bit more, but before I do that, as usual, I would urge all of you to subscribe to the CAA Show. My podcast, as all of you know, is always different. We come up with very different ideas, so I would urge all of you to subscribe to it. All you have to do is to press that red button on your screen there. You become a subscriber. Subscription is completely free. I would also urge all of you to please like my show. That's very encouraging. And if you like my video, which I'm sure you will do, then please share my video with your friends, peers, and colleagues. Thanks for that. Now, let's again go back to what we were talking about. Why am I saying that the BJP is in the process of rediscovering itself? The simple reason is that the knocking which the BJP has taken in these elections, that is I'm talking of the general elections 2024, has made it realize that it cannot be this please all party, this please all personality for everyone in India. India is a very, very complex and a very, very complicated country. And if you try and please everybody, you will surely stumble along the way. In a country like India, in a complex country like India, you have to stand out by what you stand for, not what other people think you should be standing for. I think the BJP has rediscovered this truth, and therefore these two speeches are very, very significant. I'm of course talking of the speech of the Prime Minister yesterday and Yogi Adityanath's speech. They have to be taken in totality. A lot of people feel that there is a divergence of opinion between Yogi and the Prime Minister. I, for one, don't agree with that. I think they are working in tandem. They are pushing the same agenda forward. I think the party as a whole has learnt its lessons, and therefore it is back to what we call in journalistic language, it's back to the drawing board. It is back to the same old BJP which we had seen in 2014. Now, let me expand on this theme now, as I had promised you earlier. In India's political history, India's best known political leaders have always been personalities who are known for certain attributes, who are known for certain personality traits, who are known for a kind of an ideology. I have not seen too many of these top political personalities change their ideology midway through their political careers. Not really. And I will give you 2 or 3 very interesting examples. Let's start with Pandit Nehru. See, Pandit Nehru, for people of my generation at least, I don't know if the younger generation understands this or they know about this also, for a very, very long time when we were growing up, when we were in school, when we went to college also, he was always in our minds and even our hearts, I would say, known as Chacha Nehru. Why was he called Chacha Nehru? There was this iconic image of Pandit Nehru with this rose in his white waistcoat, in the white sherwani which he used to wear, and it signified that the kids were very, very fond of Pandit Nehru. That's why he was called Chacha Nehru. The other image of Nehru was that he was, of course, as the Nehru, which everybody tom-toms about him, that he was this great secularist. He was also an Oxbridge man. He studied at Harrow, so he was always known for his flawless intonation of the English language. He, in fact, used to speak English even better than a Britisher. And he was also known as a person who was not very firm, who could not stand up to the Chinese aggression in 1962. Now, these are all personality, these are all recorded history of Pandit Nehru. The point which I am making is that you understand, you know Pandit Nehru from this broad sketch. There is no other sketch, there is no other midway correction which you know of Pandit Nehru. This is what the man stood for, and this is what even today we know him for. Then you come to Indira Gandhi. Again, a very interesting personality. She will always be known for 2 major events. The first of the biggest events which changed the subcontinent's history, of course, was when she split up Pakistan, created Bangladesh, and of course she was the person who was behind the defeat of Pakistan in the 1971 war. That has probably been her biggest and the greatest contribution. And of course the other one is something which is not exactly very honorable, which I personally feel was dishonorable, was of course Operation Blue Star, but again a very significant event for which Indira Gandhi was known for. But overall, the image of Indira Gandhi is still one of a firm, a very strong, a very resilient, and also a very cunning leader who at times, when early on in her career, she broke up what is called, the caucus or the people or the seniors in the party, in the Congress party, who were using her. In that time, there was this Hindi terminology used called Gungi Gudiya. They thought that she would be like what is in English called a silent doll. They could manipulate her. She was above all that. She outsmarted all of them. So Indira Gandhi, even today, the image is that of a firm, tough person who stuck to her guns. Vajpayee. The quick image we come to mind was, and surprisingly the image is actually, a lot of people are accepting it now, that he was even a better secularist in a certain way rather than Pandit Nehru. Affable man, very great communicator. He was actually, a lot of people felt that he was the wrong man in the BJP. He should have been on the other side in the Congress party. That's what a lot of people say. But anyway, he was supposed to be this accommodating, secular, affable personality. The point which I'm making is that all these towering personalities during their heyday, this is what they were known for. And there is no mention of the fact that they change midway or they try to course correct themselves and evolve or devolve or whatever you want to call it into a different kind of a personality. But the challenge for the BJP has been that, and this is my personal assessment, nobody has thought about that. I'm putting forward this point of view that I think the Prime Minister, especially post 2019, I'm talking of Prime Minister Modi, had tried to kind of change his persona. Kind of change. I'm not saying fully change his persona. He tried to change his persona. What was he known for, and what was he trying to change into? He was obviously 2014, 2019, he was known as this man of wonderful governance. First of all, a person who was one of the most effective and strong chief ministers of the state of Gujarat. Then he was very successful as a prime minister in 2014, also firm, committed to development, and 2019 he showed that he could carry out this major surgical strike against Pakistan. So firmness, somebody for whom nationalism was his credo, somebody for whom even the majority community interest mattered a lot. But post 2019, one felt that there was a change which was coming. He was maybe evolving into a please all personality. That's the best way I can describe it. Not only in India, within the country, but also abroad. This entire concept of Vishwa Guru was actually, if you ask me, it is lost in translation now, but this Vishwa Guru thing was really as this person who should be appealing to the entire Western world, especially the Western world. And that is what the Prime Minister was turning into. And then 2024, as we know, happened only not even 2 months back. And what did 2024 prove? It proved that there was absolutely a need for course correction. The Prime Minister was still very, very popular. Nobody can even come up near his popularity. But a lot of people were getting put off by this changeover or this makeover, which not only the Prime Minister was undergoing, but also the BJP as a party was undergoing. There was this clarion call which came loud and clear: go back to your old original self. And the second thing which I want to talk about is this entire, I think, Vishwa Guru experiment actually has failed, I would say. And why it has failed? Because now there is a lot of thinking which is going on. A lot of people are saying that to that large extent, the setback in the election is also via the US. To that extent, the role it has played in the interfering in the elections in India through the tech companies, this has been very, very disappointing to the Indian government. And therefore, on both parameters, within the country as well as outside on the Vishwa Guru front, there have been huge setbacks, both personally, I think, for the Prime Minister, for the country. And therefore, the fact is, at the end of the day, the Prime Minister, of course, has come in for a third term. As we all know, the BJP has again come back to power, but it is surviving on the crutches of other allied partners and parties. And if not now, but maybe at some point later, they will take their pound of flesh, they will make demands, which will be very difficult for the BJP too. So it's not exactly a very, very happy situation. And obviously, there has been, I think, a course correction. There has been now a new thinking in the BJP that what was working for us, we should go back to that and not try and evolve into somebody or something else. Now, the short point which I am also making is that as the BJP grew, it began to, maybe I think unconsciously or subconsciously, as we say, like the Congress party. See, the Congress party at some point in time when it was all powerful, many decades back, it was this pervasive be-all, end-all, one-all kind of party which would accommodate all kinds of interests. And the BJP, I think, had gotten into the rut 2019, post-2019, where it wanted to appeal to everybody. It was taking its own slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, especially the latter part of it, Sabka Vishwas, extremely seriously. And here I want to tell you something which is very, very interesting. Who do I mean by Sabka Vishwas? Obviously, it also meant that they assumed, and this was the other big mistake they were making, that they always would have the support of the majority community or the Hindu community as a whole. And these elections have proven that is not totally the case. Yes, large part of the majority community, I still think, supports Prime Minister. But there have been fissures, there have been disappointments, there have been a lot of angst within a lot of sections, because the Hindu community is not some one monolithic block. And therefore, that point has to be kept in mind. But what really was significant was the outreach which was happening to the minority community. And here I'm going to make a very interesting point. I gave you the example earlier of Chacha Nehru, Indira Gandhi, of Vajpayee. The fact is, once the imagery, once the personality of a towering political figure comes into being, then it becomes almost fixed, I'm saying, in the public mind. It doesn't change. Whether you might today write books or rewrite history, or you might, what is called revisionist history, you might do all of those things, but the fact is, at the end of the day, most people will still believe that Nehru was some kind of a secular, woolly-headed, impractical person, but still a kind of a very lovable character, whatever. There are a lot of contradictions which are coming out about him, but for the larger public, still, that is what Nehru was. And in that context, and I'm saying keep that in mind, if the image makers of Prime Minister Modi thought that Modi was emerge as his be-all, friendly all, one person for everybody, for everyone kind of personality, then they were sadly mistaken. Because what the Congress, one thing the Congress might have not done in election after election, but one thing they have very effectively done. They have forever, I would say, almost forever, implanted the idea that Modi was behind the 2002 Gujarat riots in the Muslim mind. It's as simple as that. And this perception, for whatever the Prime Minister might do, whatever conciliatory moves he might do, whatever assuaging noises are made, whatever accommodation he might do, or whatever the BJP as a party might do, but this image has stuck in the minority community mind. And not only, I would say, the Muslim community, even the Sikh community is also to that extent very alienated. The Christian community is also. So the minority by and large are alienated. And now I think the BJP post 2024 has woken up to this reality that maybe we have wasted a lot of capital, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort in going out of the way to bring all these communities on our side. The fact is, at the end of the day, there are certain images, there are certain perceptions which are almost cast in stone, which are there in the public mind. They are not going to change. In the same way, there are majority of our people, there are a lot of people who think, Modi is the best thing which has happened to India. That is also not going to change. And what is also not going to change is a significant portion of the minority community which believes that we need to get parties like the Congress or the Samajwadi Party or the Aam Aadmi Party or all these other parties back, because the BJP and Modi are certainly not going to be looking after our interests. So this reality, I have a feeling, has finally dawned on the BJP. Till now, these noises were being made immediately after the elections. There was a lot of soul searching. There was a lot of thinking going on. There was a lot of what we call in Hindi manthan. There was a lot of churning which was going on. But now these two speeches especially have signaled that the old BJP is now coming back into its own. No question about that. I'll give you again a very, very interesting example, because in my podcast, I always try and give you something different, something which is interesting, which also makes it entertaining for all of you also. And I'll give you this example from this film series called Rocky. I'm talking of the English film series Rocky. This had this Hollywood actor called Sylvester Stallone. And I'm sure many of you must have seen this series. But in the first series, Rocky, the first movie, they showed this very young, gung-ho boxer, and again from a very poor neighborhood, from a very tough neighborhood in New York. Not New York, Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is the place. And he aspires in the boxing ring, he wants to go right to the top, which he does. he wins his bout, the World Boxing Championship. And then in series, I think Rocky 2 or Rocky 3, they show that he's become very successful and success goes to his head. And he becomes sloppy, he moves to a very rich neighborhood, he becomes sloppy, he becomes indulgent, he doesn't train very hard, he forgets all the old rules, he forgets his old neighborhood. He thinks he can always win, and then he is defeated in the World Championships. And then I think at the end of that movie, I think it was Rocky 2 or Rocky 3, they show that he learns his lessons. He says, no, I've done a mistake. I have to go back to the old ways. I have to go back to my old neighborhood. I have to train again. I have to lose all that flab from my body. I have to train very, very hard, and I have to box. And my sparring partners, in boxing you have what is called a sparring partner, where you box with a sparring partner, and that's how you learn to do well. And I have to go and get my sparring partner back from the old neighborhood. And he therefore requests this old man who was his mentor, whom he had discarded. He begs him, please take me back, be my sparring partner, coach me. I want to come back, I've learned my lesson, and I want to win back my title again. And in the end of that movie, Rocky, that is Sylvester Stallone, he wins back his title and he goes back to the old neighborhood. That picture series actually is about the state of the BJP. The BJP had grown too big, honestly. From 2014 till now, it has grown into a behemoth. It is the largest political party in the world, we know that. And obviously, when you grow in such an astounding manner, then complacency sets in, arrogance comes in, you discard the old ways, you start embracing new concepts, new ideas, you become gung-ho, if I can, and you start taking things for granted. What did the BJP take for granted? That the majority community vote. The majority community will always be as a block with me. 2024 showed that's not the case. There have been a lot of divisions, dissensions, anger, disappointment, hurt within various sections. It's a very complicated story. I don't want to take too much time on that. But that is the reality which has come forth now. And I think the BJP has probably learned its lesson in that sense. And therefore, the point which I'm making, the political point which I'm making in this podcast is that at the end of the day, political parties should be known for what they really are, what they stand for. And here is the very surprising and the ironic thing. All said and done, by and large, the Congress party even today is known for what it is. I mean, a lot of us might not agree with what they stand for in terms of all this left hard liberalism, wokeism, and all these other concepts they keep practicing. But to give them credit, they still stand for that. Rahul Gandhi stands for whatever he is. He hasn't changed all that particularly. But the BJP was trying to course correct unwisely, I would think. It was trying to become a different entity. It was trying to become a different person. And therefore, the short lesson of history, the short lesson of politics really is be what you are. Don't try and fool, first of all, yourself into believing that you have become a different person. And don't, of course, try and fool the janta or the public that you have changed, you have become this Wish Pitama or Wish whatever, or everybody loves you and everybody, thinks of you as a deity. That is not needed. All this, I don't know who was advising the Prime Minister on this image projection. This was so out of place. But I'm so happy now that all that hopefully is going away. You can already see streaks and strains of the old Modi coming back into his own. Certainly the old Yogi is back, no question about it. He's all fire and brimstone, all the speeches, all his actions, everything. This is the same Yogi which is back. And being the old BJP does not mean that you are resorting to communalism or you are a communal party. I don't agree with that. You are just trying to generally tell people sabka saath, sabka vikas, but you will not disrespect the majority community. The interests of the majority community will be maintained, and therefore this big grouse of the majority community that in this entire process, our demands are never met, and therefore now those demands, whether it be the revocation of the Waqf Act, the cultural assimilation, the significance which is given to the the Hindu rulers of old, the changes which are coming in the textbooks, all these have been, and I'm just giving 2 or 3 examples. There are a number of these kind of examples. They are now being taken very, very seriously, and I think they will be taken even more seriously as we go forward. You might be a coalition government, you might need the support of your allies, but if you have the gumption, if you have the guts to still carry out your core agenda, which I think now the BJP has started doing, then in all probability you will meet with success. And therefore the short lesson, the short point of history is, don't try and be somebody else, be yourself. And that's all not only true for political parties, that is true for us as a people also. When we try and pretend to be somebody else, we act like somebody else, then we always falter, we always fall. And I think, as I said, that hopefully some lessons have been learned, course correction has been done, and we see the re-emergence back of a party known for its governance, known for its firmness, also a party internationally which is not kowtowing to certain vested interests. The American experience, the betrayal by certain Western countries, all that is being kept in mind now, and therefore a very pragmatic, hard-nosed, strategic, autonomous policy is now being implemented. What we really have to watch out for is now how the BJP, as we go forward, Bangladesh, of course, is going to be the biggest challenge. The interests of the Hindi community there have to be kept in mind. And I think everybody, not only in India, but in the subcontinent, everybody knows that India has once divided Pakistan, created Bangladesh, and it has the capacity. It probably might have to discover the will. It can create something, a new state out of Bangladesh also, if things really, really go bad. That potential threat is there, but that power is also there with the Indian state. That challenge is there, and we will see in the coming days what really happens on that front. And also the Pakistan front, the influx of terrorists from across Pakistan, a decisive reply has to be given to that. That is still in the offing, maybe hopefully in the works, as I'm saying. The Chinese challenge has already been there. To some extent, Maldives has been tamed. Sri Lanka is okay. Nepal is also okay. So challenges certainly all across the world. The world is completely polarized right now. We know it's now daggers drawn out. Everybody as it is at each other's throats. These are very, very tricky, dangerous, but also very interesting times. And at a time like this, if the BJP is finding and its old self back, it is rediscovering itself, then good news for the BJP. And let's see as we go forward how things pan out. And so on this note, I come to the end of this particular podcast. I hope you liked it, and do subscribe to my channel. And of course, till next time, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.